right, so let's go ahead and get this whole thing started. So starting off, so we just got some news. Well, actually, a couple of days ago, that Anthony Davis was reported to be out for 2 to 3 weeks. Now, according to Rich Paul, AD's agent, it's reported that it probably be beyond that. By the way, and obviously, it's due to his Achilles. He reactivated his Achilles, and even during that season, he has been playing the same way. He's averaging 22 points, 8 rebounds, close to 1 steal, 1 blocks per game. And and like I said, and the Achilles is definitely a very sensitive, very sensitive part of the lower body. So I wanted to ask you this question, L'Oreal, because Lakers, they are 22-7, that's second in the West, and their next matchups, next games in February, they got the Brooklyn Nets, Miami Heat, Washington Wizards, Utah Jazz, Portland, and then Golden State to end the month of February. So, L'Oreal, how worried should the Lakers be?
I feel like the Lakers should be pretty worried. And the first reason for that is that the Achilles is no joke. We seen this in Game 5 of the 2019 Finals with Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant had that calf strain, and then it eventually turned into an Achilles tear. And specifically, when we think of AD, this is going to affect them more than the Kevin Durant because Kevin Durant is a scorer and a shooter. AD, he has a lot of defensive dominance within this game, and he moves a lot differently than like a player like a KD. So an Achilles injury will affect him because, it can kind of lessen his effects on the defensive side of the ball, which would be a detrimental thing for the Lakers, going forward into the postseason and all of that. And another reason why the Lakers should be pretty worried is looking forward into the playoffs. You don't want to risk putting AD out there to re-aggravate his Achilles again, because if he re-aggravates his Achilles and it results into his Achilles being completely torn, obviously you got to take him out for the rest of the season. And I just don't really see the Lakers moving that far ahead without an Anthony Davis. Because with an Anthony Davis, you already established that defensive dominance that I think the Lakers have the best in the league. And I feel like that's what make the Lakers, above the Clippers and above the Denver Nuggets and above the Utah Jazz we'll be talking, about later on. So not having the AD, you don't have no bigs, and you also don't have that size that the Lakers had. So the biggest question moving forward is who is going to be that second option? Surprisingly, the Lakers are 5-1 without AD. And one of the main reasons of that is we see the greatness of LeBron James, year 18. He's playing very, very good, averaging nearly a triple-double almost every game, showing up more in the clutch. Like he shot the last shot against that Pistons game when they went second overtime and things like that. But I think Lakers fans and basketball fans in general, they need to look at Kyle Kuzma. Because when Kyle Kuzma plays more minutes, I feel like Kyle Kuzma has a bigger impact on the team. We seen when AD was out of the lineup, when Kyle Kuzma plays at least 20 minutes or more, he can give you a 20-point, 10-rebound game. I think that will make a huge difference because as LeBron James, as we know, he is accustomed to being in situations like this where he can put pressure on his body. But considering his age, I don't think that's a good idea long term if the Lakers want to be this dominating team for the next 3 or 4 years to keep putting that pressure on his body. So you need a Kyle Kuzma to show up. You need an Alex Caruso to show up, especially on the defensive end, the way that he has shown that he can do. You need other players like JaVale McGee, Dwight Howard, Dennis Schroeder. You need everybody to contribute just as much as LeBron James is going to contribute. So it's going to be very interesting to see even, these next 2 to 3 weeks, or even the next 2 to 3 months, how the Lakers are going to react and how the Lakers are going to show up without the presence of AD.
That was a good point to say. I do agree a lot what you said. Let me be very clear. If the Lakers, I'm just gonna say this straight to the point. If Anthony Davis is going through an injury where it revolves around his Achilles, I don't care what the Lakers do at all. I don't care who they have on that team. They're not winning the championship. No way, no how. Anthony Davis has to be fully healthy in this situation. Anthony Davis has not been the same ever since the season has begun. And anyway, Anthony Davis has always been injury prone. He's always had injury issues. And so I think that that's something to be considered about, knowing that AD, we understand his talent. AD is one of the best players in the game. But Anthony Davis, with his health situation that he's been going through since he first got into the league, that is something that the Lakers should be very concerned about, especially when it involves with Achilles. We saw this with Kevin Durant. I even take it a step further. Mike Conley had this issue back in the 2017-18 season. And he didn't tore it, but he had an Achilles soreness. And that bothered him in the beginning of the season to a point where he didn't even play for the rest of the season. Now, a good part was because when he was off, the Grizzlies lost dramatically. This is obviously when he was in Memphis. This lost dramatically, but it still was bad enough that Mike Conley could not get back on the court, knowing the fact that he had an Achilles issue. They need AD. That's not saying that AD is their best player. You know what I'm saying? Because we saw how he did last season. We know how he played compared to what he did this season. Now, it's crazy. Anthony Davis still leads this team in rebounds. He still leads his team, I want to say, in steals and blocks, I believe. But obviously, the only difference is that he doesn't lead them in scoring. Anthony Davis has not been the same. And that has been a very big issue. So if they go to the playoffs and you're only hoping that he stays healthy during the playoffs, if that man's not healthy in the playoffs, or if he's not there at all, they have no shot. They have no shot now whatsoever. And my initial reaction when I found out about this, about AD reactivating his Achilles, I thought about one team only. The LA Clippers are on the clock. The LA Clippers. If the Clippers do not, and I mean do not get to the NBA Finals, forget about getting to the Western Conference Finals. If they do not get to the NBA Finals this year, then I don't believe that they will be able to get it the next at all. It would be this, well, you're good, same old Clippers, you did this, you did that, but all the expectations that the Clippers would be given will all go away. All go away. Even through the second year. But so that is the pressure mode as a whole. Now, me personally, I believe the Clippers are going to win the championship. That's the way I've said as a whole. But that pressure, because of AD's reactivating his Achilles, that's going to be the big mark that I believe that's going to happen. That's going to give, obviously give them the chances. Because like I said, the Lakers are burnt out. They're burnt out due to last season. I mean, they took a month and a half off, for just to get ready for next season. I mean, who could deal with that? I mean, the Lakers are burnt out. You even got the Miami Heat, who's burnt out. You see where they're at right now. So yeah. So all I know is that when it comes to the Lakers, they don't have AD. They can forget about going to the NBA Finals because that's not going to happen. What did Patrick Beverley say? Patrick Beverley said one time when someone asked him about the challenge, like how much of a challenge is it going against LeBron James, and he said no challenge. That's how I believe how the Lakers will face against the Clippers. It would be no challenge, like none, not whatsoever. Like if the Clippers win against the Lakers without AD or AD who is hurt or have his Achilles issues, the Clippers will be smacking them in 5 games. I don't care if LeBron James is 2018 LeBron. I don't care if it's 2009 LeBron James in Cleveland or 2012, 13 Miami LeBron. There would be no challenge now because the Clippers would have beat them at 5. So they need AD, plain and simple.
Absolutely. And I believe that the entire West is on the clock, not just the Clippers. Within these next couple months, I believe this is going to be a very, very big impact on the entire conference, looking at how other teams do. Will Utah still be at the top? Will Denver, creep in? Will the Clippers creep in? How will Phoenix play into that? Maybe Phoenix can creep in. I feel like having the absence AD is going to open up so much more for the rest of the league, where I agree with you. It's kind of no excuses at this point, because I feel like the Lakers are vulnerable. I feel like the Lakers have a target on their back. And if you don't be that proactive and attack that, then we're going to be looking more so at you more than the Lakers, because we already know why the Lakers are not going to go to the championship and things like that because of AD.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have this opportunity to rise above and you don't do that, we're going to be looking at, why is it that they couldn't rise above, whoever that may be.
Yeah, and another thing too is that when you look at the Lakers, first of all, let's be very clear about the Lakers. The Lakers are in a situation when you look at this team, Marc Gasol is not the same player that he was even in Toronto. Okay, he's not the same player. Okay, you got Montrezl Harrell, who's a good energizer. He can score and whatnot, but he does not give you the defensive end that he does, that Dwight Howard did, or even JaVale McGee. So I would say rim protection has been a big issue, when the fact that AD is really your only rim protector when you think about it. So having AD who is neutralized or is not there, that's going to be a very big deal for the Lakers. So on defensive end, perimeter defense, they'll be fine, they'll be good. But as far as the paint rim protection wise, I believe that is going to be a very big issue, which that's going to make LeBron James going to have to do much more than he has to do as a whole. And we could talk about how, we keep on saying that he's going to be this, he's going to be that. Oh, trust me, it will be that time that people will look and say, dang, LeBron James don't got anymore. I mean, it's not like he's going to do it when he's 60 years old, but there will be a time that it will be like, dang, you won't know it. It'll just happen. You'll be like, dang, it happened. So that's something to really, really think about as a whole. That's really to think about. And I would say one more thing before we go on to the next one. Even though the Lakers are going through these issues, I would say this, that they should not be judged until the playoffs begin. Absolutely. Whatever they do in the regular season, they have the right to not be judged until it's the playoffs. So when it comes to the playoffs, then we could judge them. But right now in the regular season, no, we ain't judging them. Wait until the playoffs begin.